Here we are 5 days to the fiscal year end, and we have a budget before us. And the budget before us was brought to this side of the aisle's attention early this morning. It's a 175-page document, a little less than 4 hours to digest it. Digest something that has a major impact financially on individuals, on businesses, corporations, nursing homes, hospitals, anything that touches anybody's lives. When I look at the tax package of the budget and the amount of money that it purports to raise to close the budget deficit, I'm scared because I don't know how we're going to reach those dollar amounts. And as a member of the General Assembly, I tried to keep up to speed on the budget negotiations. I don't serve on the Appropriations Committee. I don't serve on the Finance Committee. But one of the most often asked questions when I'm out and about in my district is, what's going on with the budget? What are you guys doing up there in Hartford? And I give them a little bit of a history going back to last June as to the forecasts, bringing it right up through to the session to June 3rd to where we are today. And this morning, with the information that we were coming in to discuss a budget, about 5 a.m. when I got up, having my cup of coffee, I signed onto my laptop and I looked on CTN and their archives to see anything it says about the budget. And I looked at the Capitol News briefing about the budget talks, and those were dated June 23rd. There was a rally out on the South Lawn at the Capitol. And there was interviews by the Speaker of the House and the President Pro Tem by CTN and other news reporting agencies. And when asked the specific questions to the leaders, that most likely it's known that the governor is going to veto this budget, why are you going through the exercise of bringing this budget forward? And the answer given was because Democrats need to stand up and show what they stand for. But I have to apologize to the Democrats in my district, who I represent, because they don't support these large tax increases. They're telling me they can't afford the tax increases. Well, some may say, well, you know what? How many people actually make $500,000 as a married couple? Everybody else, they're not going to be affected by that. But we've heard testimony from the different folks here around the circle that says, no, you will be impacted, because these people can move. We saw it just one of our states, Maryland, as a matter of fact. I think it was brought up earlier that they had 3,000 millionaires. After they passed this tax increase, it went down to 2,000 millionaires. Everybody that's left in the state is going to have to make up the difference of that revenue loss. Everybody. The higher you make the wage, the more people are going to leave. And I can't tell you how many emails I've gotten and phone calls from folks that say, when I retire, I'm out of here. I'm not leaving this state. And then we look towards our businesses. Senator Kane brought up a point that, we're taxing the businesses at 30% or 25%, but we're only taxing the ones that make a profit. So it's kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. So if we do well, we're going to tax you. If we don't do well, hopefully you can survive to make it another day. But our communities and our schools and everybody look towards our businesses every day for the items that we need, for the necessities, for the kinds of things that people cannot afford, schools in particular. They're always going to the businesses. Hey, can you contribute? Can you donate? Can you sponsor? And the business community has been so supportive of all the things in their local communities to help out. When I served in my local Board of Education, we actually looked at, try to get our hands around what the in-kind contributions were that would have affected our budget had not the PTOs, the parents, the businesses contributed to offset some of these costs. And that number was extremely large. And I say to you that I'm sure if you all went back to your business communities and got a total number of in-kind contributions that went right back to your communities, it would far exceed 25 or possibly 30%. But now, with this budget before us, they may not be able to do that. They may say, you know what? The state of Connecticut put a corporate tax on us that takes away our profit. So the money that we would have contributed to support or sponsor a school team, to provide for things in an education budget that you might not have been able to afford, an athletic team, civic organization, all those types of different things that we routinely go to our business community to provide, they may no longer be able to do that. And then we'll really feel the impact. But when I looked through the budget, and it's very difficult because when I look at budgets, often you get to see what's asked for, what was last year's balance, and what was the actual balance spent. But in this budget, there's only numbers. There's a T number, then a line of what it is, and then a dollar figure. So it's very hard and difficult if somebody were to go online, as the colloquy was discussed earlier, if somebody wanted to go online and look at something, you wouldn't be able to tell quickly how much this department had last year, how much we're proposing to give them this year, and what was the actual spent dollars of the current year. You just see a number, the appropriation, how much they're going to get. Well, did that number go up? Did it go down? Is that sufficient to meet the needs of that department? It's very difficult to tell by reading this bill. So I kind of flipped over to the OFA analysis, and I was very surprised to see one particular section of this analysis where people are cutting corners to make ends meet. We're reducing the size of agencies. That there's a provision to provide for meals for a certain segment of the state employees. In fact, $287,000 for meals. Is that right in this economic climate? I don't think so. It's not required under the collective bargaining agreement. I understand that some members do have that provision, and maybe we want to treat all those members the same. But the fact of the matter is, that's over $250,000. When we're trying to close the size of the budget deficit that we have now, and we're making these additional expenditures, it's very, very difficult to go back home to tell the folks, or if we're asked, hey, you're giving $287,000 for meals? I don't even know how I'm going to feed my family. I just lost my job. It's hard, extremely hard to justify that expense. And my justification will be that I voted no on the budget. That's my justification. I think that we've got to go back to the table. I hope when this budget reaches the governor's desk, she immediately stamps veto on it, that we can get back to work that we were elected to do in making sure that we can make Connecticut affordable for all of its residents. Thank you, Mr. President.